In a world that is characterized by permanent volatility, there is an increasing demand for exceptional talent. But out of these 7 billion people, who is right for your organization? This episode of Human Resource Management covers employee selection, specifically focusing on managerial selection. We begin by first identifying what employee selection is. This will include the value of good versus poor selection and the resultant effect on the bottom line results. Our guest lineup for today includes top executives from both a consulting and industry view. We will then identify and present an overview outlining the best practice. As Jack Welch, the legendary CEO at General Electric, says, what could possibly be more important than who gets hired? Business is a game, and as with all games, the team that puts the best people on the field and gets them playing together wins. It's that simple. A good selection process is both efficient and effective. The right people are selected within a quicker time period at a lower cost. Marshall and McHardy, in their book Identifying High-Effort Salespeople, conclude that in most organizations, a 15% increase in the effectiveness of the selection system will result in a 40% increase in performance. Because the right people are selected, the overall productivity levels increase. Employee morale also increases and the organization has a competitive advantage. They show that improved work performance has a positive impact on business performance through the increase in sales, profits, return on investments, and innovation. This then results in an overall improvement in the organizational performance in terms of the net profit margin and return on equity. A typical selection process consists of the initial screening process, completion of the application form, with only the successful applicants progressing to the interview stage, followed by employee tests and reference checks. Finally, the offer of employment is made to the chosen candidate and the manager is formally appointed. Wrong selection often leads to a decline in employee morale, increase in production costs, loss of revenue, lost time and resources, unexpected staff turnover, financial implications of repeating the selection process. We will now test this theoretical base against the views of executives from 3 different organizations.
Good managerial selection is vital to an organization. It's all about finding the right person for the roles that you have, and it's about making sure that what you're looking for aligns to the candidates that you have. Obviously, the ripple effect impacts productivity. It impacts the efficiency and the effectiveness of the environment, and ultimately the measure of success, which is your profit margins. The fundamental impact started with the workforce, and because we are a people-driven organization, when you have low morale and you have low productivity, that obviously impacts in terms of what you can produce as an output, and fundamentally that has impact on your bottom line. When you have a low productivity workforce, it also increases your costs because you end up needing to recruit more people to do the same amount of work, whereas you could have actually achieved it with less of a headcount if you had the right people in the roles. So the net effect was an increase in costs, which could have been avoided, and obviously a reduction in the revenue because the productivity was not up to the targets that had been set. First principles need to apply, where you are clear on the skill set that you require for that particular role. So it starts with defining and articulating a proper job description. And also when you select the candidates, to make sure that the skill set they possess, the experience they possess, align to the job description that you need to fill. While I am a proponent of interviews, I think we also need to look at independent ways of assessing competence.
Good managerial selection impacts on every aspect of your business, because it's the managers who execute the strategy and cause the organization to achieve or not achieve its results. One particular instance I can think of was a major bank had recruited a senior executive, and this particular executive was selected for his technical abilities but was a poor people's person. And that aspect of his style and his approach caused huge problems for the staff and ultimately the profitability of the entire bank. We look at a person and we like one particular aspect of his style, say for instance the way he speaks and the way he relates to other people, and we think that is how it will translate into the workplace. And often people in interview situations are not the same people they are in the workplace. So it's very important to check references, to deal with how this person has impacted on organizations before. And often when we do reference checking, we only check for references from bosses, but we don't look at how this person relates to employees reporting to him, which is the most important aspect of a manager. Go and do as thorough reference checks all the way back as possible. And also using proper selection techniques and assessment centers and personality tests and all that, but to make the decision on selection holistically.
Factors leading to wrong selection in most cases are situations such as not doing an employee-company match. When an employee is not matching the company, in that you find that as an employee you have your own set of values that you live with, and the company has got different values that they live with. Now, when you do a match, you have not tested that, and that you can test in a lot of ways through psychometric tests, where you go and look what the managerial styles of the person are, what the value sets they are carrying are. If you have appointed a person at R1 million, it's not only about the salary. You probably paid advert costs. You have time lapses in the role sitting idle. That costs money because production is not happening. You have recruitment agents or headhunters or executive search companies that you have paid to try and recruit this person. This person comes in and lasts for a month or 2 months. I believe that employers need to understand the different generations with what it is that they live by, the value drivers that are driving each of these generational sets, and what are the kind of things that makes them tick.
The 3 views obtained provide the same message. The following critical points were highlighted as the best practice to ensure suitability of a candidate to the managerial role: the initial screening process, completion of application forms, appropriate interviews, employment tests, and thorough reference checks. Therefore, we believe that good managerial selection is critical to an organization because it impacts the organization's bottom line, employee morale, productivity, and the overall competitive advantage of the organization.